I'm Alisa, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm an IFS practitioner, and here on this channel, we marry IFS with the metaphysical, the energetic, and the creative expression to help you on your healing journey. Today,
I'm here. I'm Abby. We're here today to talk about some exiles.
Yes. And before we started, Abby and I were joking because when I do this, we were doing, here's the church, here's the steeple, open up, here's the people. And the reason that's so funny is because exiles are our most playful and vulnerable parts.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really put this on here, even though we're going to probably do an outtakes bloopers reel.
That would be fun.
It would, because there's probably, though, 25 minutes of it.
Okay. Being silly and weird.
Yes.
Our exiles are showing.
Yes, exactly. And that's what's the point of this thing. But they're our youngest and most vulnerable parts, aren't they? And so in an unburdened system, I remember in my training, I'm like, well, why would you call them exiles if they're not burdened? So here's the thing about parts, really. You always have like you've heard me say, like, well, part of a name. And some people actually would have parts like Charlie or I want to say Ed or Louie or whatever. And I don't know why I'm giving all male names, because like you could have like Francine. So, but you may come across that, but so it doesn't even have to be called a manager, a firefighter, an exile, just like a side note. But these are really, when they're integrated back into the system, or if they've never held a burden, just called a vulnerable part. And they're vulnerable because they're not the protectors, which we've talked about in the other videos. These parts are very young typically, and they're very playful. They like to really connect, and they hold joy. They're the ones that, like, you know, if you're being silly with somebody, you're joking around.
Lots of humor, lots of playfulness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just so, like, firefighters can be pretty humorous. My firefighters are pretty funny. I'm just like, I really enjoy it. Yes, they really are.
They are.
We're just doing this. They're funny in a different way. But the exiles have that innocent humor, and they also tend to be tickled, or that kind of really that connection. And what happens though, and I want to say those are the vulnerable ones, and the exiles are vulnerable. And like, I just feel like so tender towards them right now, because like when there is trauma, these are the parts that get hurt first. And they will take the blow. And when I read that in the manual, I remember like getting tears in my eyes, because I'm like, wow, these tiny little parts that are so vulnerable, and are like the parts of us that feel the need for the most connection and attachment to a parent, right? I was thinking of my kids at the time, when I hold them as babies. They're so brave. They're like, no, I'm going to take the hit for everybody. I'll feel the worst about myself. Like, it makes me kind of want to choke up right now, so nobody else has to. Like, it's like saying, I'll take the bullet. I mean, that's kind of heroic.
Yeah. They're very open to that connection, but also to taking on the responsibility of that pain.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's such a courageous act. It's a lot of self-energy. And so when I saw that, I was like, I just had like mad respect for this part. Yeah. This such a little part to do that. And I was able to step back and look at them differently. Even my protectors, particularly my firefighters, went, whoa, mad props. It almost was like a spontaneous, what we call unburdening for some of them. But anyway, these parts of us that do that are exiled, they're young, because they're young, messages get taken in and received that may not have been the intention, but it's definitely the impact.
Right.
So like if something bad happens, and we're young, we're not going to blame our caretakers right away, because then who's going to, like, how are we going to survive?
If they're flawed and make a mistake, it can't be them.
Right. It's very terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's what we call survival terror.
Yeah.
So it's easier to blame us. And when I say easier, it's like pick your pain.
Right.
So
it's easier to make sense of.
That's right, because the world's very chaotic. So we pick the pain, pick the burden. It's like, something must be wrong with me, not them. It's not them that may be flawed, unlovable, whatever. And it doesn't mean that either's true, but in this case, it's very black and white, right? Because the kids,
they're so young.
Right, so anyway, that gets taken on. But the rest of the system's going, danger, Will Robinson, danger! We're about to go down!
Yeah.
So that's how your protectors come in.
Absolutely. And so I had a question earlier, having understanding the distinction between exiles and their burdens, and having parts in systems be confused by who's what's what. Like, are exiles their burdens?
No. Listen, that's a good question, because parts will think that for sure. Like, we can see the difference. We, like I was saying, like, I can say, wow, that part of us was willing to take that hit, willing to take the bullet, like you would watch in a movie, like, whoa, that's like, look at that hero, right? But if you're in the war zone, you're like, look at that ridiculous, why would that idiot run in front of the bullet, right? That would be a part looking at that. Right. So, and that would be a critic. I have critics on the brain because I posted about them today. So. But that's looking at the burden of that exile, thinking
from a part
perspective. Yeah, because parts have a limited viewpoint, a limited perspective. We don't. We have what? Perspective and presence, and we are present in this time and place. Parts that have burdens get trapped, so they can only see things from that time, in that context, and in the context of their job, which is their job. So burdens are separate. So it's not I'm worthless. That part feels worthless.
I love that distinction between that, identifying that part and kind of like just being with that part.
Yes.
Not the angry part or the worthless part. It's the part that is a part separate from the pain that it holds.
Well, and I love that you even said it like that, because like I slowed down and listened to that, and like it makes it less overwhelming and less intense to say I'm with a part that's angry, not it's angry. Like,
or I'm with my angry part.
Right. Because it's like it's always going to be. Right.
Yeah.
And so, wow, okay, well, maybe getting to know why it's feeling angry right now. So not that anger is a bad thing, but maybe there's a story behind that.
Right. And it opens up space for that curiosity to say, okay, well, you are not defined by this anger. So what's causing that?
Exactly.
And I think that's been a challenge in some of our work together. Is like, it's like I have parts that assume a lot of things about certain parts because of that. They have that limited perspective. Oh, it's angry. It's an angry part. Why is it angry? I don't care. It is.
Right. It can stay over there.
So, right. Exactly that. But that, like you had mentioned, like the presence and perspective is really, just calmer. It has that calm kind of less overwhelmed feeling.
And it's simple, but it's not easy.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very simple, not easy.
No. But in saying that, when you had asked earlier, what's in it? Why are they called exiles? And I know it wasn't on camera, but it's because our parts, when they're like dangerous, they push them away out of consciousness. For that reason, I don't know, I don't care, and if it comes too close, we are in danger, because at one point you were when that belief was acquired. Does that make sense?
It does.
In saying that, with the unburdened system, your unburdened vulnerable parts, do you have some that you can think of that you like? Or when I say like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that,
Some of the ones we spoke about earlier, like the playfulness that I feel really and the connectedness, like in my work and things like that, come really naturally, and just feel fun and like free. Like there's it's not a heaviness, there's a lightness to it. So I think playfulness and connection is something why I really enjoy the work that I do, and why I enjoy working with you, is because that feels that way too often.
Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
really was
How about you?
Yeah, I have this one vulnerable part that really likes to be loving towards people, and I like that part. It took a while to like let that part come out, but I like that part. And my part that likes to like just be creative and play with things and be creative and in that zone. And I know I said that before about another part of me, but this is a different one. It likes to just like play, like actually like I know I'm not sporty, but like I don't want to give that impression anyway. But like if I was just to go out and just play for fun, like,
just be active and adventurous.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah,
So that's fun. But I really appreciate you coming on in this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, because this is a vulnerable thing, right?
This is a tough topic, but I think looking at like the unburdened qualities is definitely a beautiful thing. It makes it feel less
unsafe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or makes it safe.
Makes it feel
safe.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're so good with words.
We really are. So thank you for joining us. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments or contact me. And we'll see you in our next video.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.